Hello and welcome back to Patriot Pastime. Today's topic is going to be the Beretta 92 FS. And the first thing we're going to do is show clear with this, because we're going to be pointing it around in some very peculiar situations. So I just wanted everybody to see that this weapon is clear before we start talking about it. First thing we're going to do is go over the differences between the 92 FS and the Beretta M9. The main difference, the one that everybody seems to notice, is the sights. The 92 FS has a 3-dot sight, which means there are 2 dots in the back and 1 in the front. The Beretta M9 has a 2-dot sight, which means the dot in the front is still there. However, in the back there is a cup with 1 single dot in the middle. That is the difference that everybody seems to notice. Some other key differences would be a radiused back strap. You can notice there is a full more than 180 degree radius here in the back strap, whereas the M9 is not. It is about 170 degrees right here, so you don't have that lock up for your thumb in the grip there. And the other difference that everybody seems to notice is the dust cover up front here. The 92 FS has a slanted dust cover, whereas the Beretta M9 is not. Now some key facts about the M9 or 92 FS, either one. They're both 9x19 Parabellum, or 9mm Luger for short. They are both single or double action, which means when this is on fire, our little red dot there, you can pull the trigger for one full long trigger pull. It's about 9.5 pounds. Or you can set the hammer back and pull to about 3 pounds with a lot shorter trigger pull. Now this is a heavy weapon, heavy pistol here. This is 34.2 ounces unloaded. I'm trying not to go all Wikipedia on you. That being said, with the magazine in it, this is the California compliant model, which means it only has a 10-round magazine. These come standard with a 15-round magazine. Unfortunately, this was the only thing my local store had, was the 10-rounders. You can always upgrade with Beretta magazines later. They're easily available purchase. Now this does have a, you saw me with the safety here, this is ambidextrous. There is a safety on each side, and it also acts as a decocker. So when that hammer is back, if you want to holster it or you want to make it safe, you flip that safety down to safe, and it will decock the hammer for you. A little bit of history with this. Was adopted by the United States military in 1985. Came standard with that 15-round magazine. I believe the A3s had a 17-round magazine. It was since replaced with the 6-hour M17 and the M18. Although this is still the primary sidearm in a lot of military units now, because they haven't upgraded to that new 6-hour, but unfortunately they're not buying any more Berettas. So now we'll get on to the basic functionality as far as loading, unloading, and disassembly. Now, one of the reasons the Beretta M9 or 92 FS is featured second on my list of favorite firearms is because of the short recoil system. Short recoil was patented and designed by John Browning, was adapted through Beretta and other companies like Walther, and what it means is that the barrel and slide, now I'm going to show clear one more time here, nothing in the barrel, no magazine in there. I did that so we can put the hammer back, makes the slide easier to operate. Now if we notice real close, when I begin to move this slide, you'll notice the barrel comes with it for a set amount, about half the length of the cartridge. Now if we compare that to something like a Sig Sauer here, this is just a P250, and we begin to rack this slide, the barrel moves with the slide from the very get-go. And what makes that neat is, and I'll show you how that works and why it works, there are some cams. We'll get into this once we take the pistol apart here. There are some cams you can see through this window right here, and once you rack this thing back, I'm going to say 3/8 of an inch, those cams will drop down into a channel and stop the barrel. What that means is when this thing cycles, it means that the bolt locks back to the barrel before the slide gets all the way forward, which means this gun is back into battery and ready to fire essentially before the slide's even all the way forward. The short recoil system was designed for machine guns, but pistols have adapted it to allow for weight. You don't need to beefing everything up when you can have the bolt and barrel lock back up before the gun is even into battery. So now we will get into the disassembly. of this weapon, and I'll show you that short recoil and lockup assembly a little bit closer. Now, during this disassembly, if I do butcher any parts of this pistol, don't hate me too bad, because I am a part-time gunsmith and full-time redneck, so there's a good possibility I won't get any of these parts right. Now, for starters, with disassembly, first thing we're going to do is put the weapon on fire, put the hammer back, lock the slide to the rear, and that's using that bolt catch back there in the back. Now, there is a rotating lever here, but there is a lock to that lever on the opposite side. It is this button here. So while pushing this button with one finger, you have to rotate this cam to the upward position, just like a Sig Sauer would be. Once you have that cam rotated upwards, you can then let the slide go forward. Do not release it, because if you do, it will shoot off the end of the pistol and parts will go everywhere and you will never find them. Now, as far as the lower, this is as far as I ever take the lower apart. You can get deep inside there with a Q-tip and some Hoppy's 9 and clean it if you want to, or you can take the grips off, which are the polymer parts of this gun, and dip it in an ultrasonic cleaner if you want to. Either one would work just fine. As far as the slide, we were talking about the locking lugs. You can see that there is a opening in the slide right here for those locking lugs. I'll take the recoil spring out first, and I'll show you how those lugs operate. You'll notice when we take the barrel up, just like normally on a disassembly of a regular pistol, you would take the barrel up and then pull it straight out. Unfortunately, with the locking lugs, you cannot do that. They ride in a channel inside of this slide. So you have to line the locking lugs up, and then the barrel will come out. Now, you'll see on this barrel, these are, focus, again, I'm using an S10 front camera, so the focus and quality might not be the best. These are the locking lugs sticking out to the side right here. You'll notice they float. Maybe. They float up and down to allow for this barrel to move when the slide is moving. And then you'll notice in the slide, there are these two cutouts here to take the barrel with the locking lugs out, and there are some grooves. If I get the light just right, there are some grooves ahead of that, up here towards the end of the barrel, and behind that, towards the bolt side of the slide, that those locking lugs will ride into. And that's what allows for that short recoil system for the barrel and slide to move together, because until those locking lugs drop down into this position and fall free of the slide, they will fall, or the barrel will travel with the slide. And that's that 3/8 of an inch or half the length of the cartridge I was showing when the weapon was together. Now, as far as cleaning and maintenance, that is as far as you will take the slide and barrel portion of this apart as well. This entire thing is cast, so feel free to throw this in an ultrasonic cleaner or scrub at it with a brass brush and some Hoppy's 9. You're not going to hurt it one bit. This is as far as the barrel part will come down to. Now, I know it seems like you can take these locking lugs and slide them out. I would strongly recommend against it, because inside of this locking lug section, there is a spring-loaded pin back here, and I would recommend not trying to disassemble this. You can. There is a little roll pin you can hammer out, and you can take this all the way apart and clean it really good. However, if you spray it down with some cleaner or put it in an ultrasonic cleaner, that's perfectly fine for everyday use. Now, when I was overseas and we had these, the armorer would pull them all the way apart and clean them. As a 10 level or an operator level, we wouldn't. This is as far as we would take it down. For reassembly, just like the last video with the Canic, drop the barrel back in there. Now, because of the locking lugs, you will have to give this one a shake. That's the easiest way to do it, because there's one little groove way down inside the slide here that those lugs have to fit into. And instead of trying to get your sausage fingers in there and line those up, I find it easier to set the barrel in there, shake it back and forth, and let it find itself. So we'll put the recoil spring in the exact same way. With this one, the plastic end will go towards the bolt side of the weapon, so the open spring will go in the hole at the end of the barrel. And then with all your might, you'll push the recoil spring down in there. Now, this one does not have a second tier. It has a locking lug here, and then your spring bucket right there. So once you push this spring all the way in and get it into the spring bucket, that is as far as this slide will come apart, and that is how it goes back together. For reassembly, take your lower And same deal as the Canic before. So this will have rails. You can see right there that my little pointer, by the way, this is the ejector rod that comes with a Heritage Rough Rider bar keep, the little 1.5-inch long barreled 22. This is what you use to shoot the shells out of the back of the cylinder. And that is one of these, and we will cover one of those in a later video. But that's my pointer stick. These grooves right here on the slide, and then in your lower you have these ears that stick out, one here and mirrored on the opposite side. It's kind of hard to see because all the stuff on the wall behind me, but you will line those lugs that stick out with the grooves in the slide. Now this one you will have to take all the way back and then push up your slide lock there. Take your cam, rotate it back around. You don't have to do anything with the lock on the other side because it is spring loaded, so just rotate that all the way back around with your finger and then hit your slide release. That will let your slide go forward, and that is the reassembly of the Beretta 92 FS or the Beretta M9. They both kind of work the same way. You can hit your decocker, we'll drop that hammer, and now you are ready to store this or carry it or keep it under your seat or wherever you keep a firearm, like this. Now I can tell you there are other ways to disassemble the Beretta M9 or the 92 FS. There's a way a lot of people use called dumping. We won't cover that. The last thing we need are kids out there dumping their dad's M9 that he's had forever. So just know if you hear the term dumping, that is disassembly on a Beretta M9. We may cover that in a later video after we take it to the range and put some rounds through it, but for now, that is going to summarize and finish up the Beretta M9 or the 92 FS. As far as a preview for the next firearm, because it's staring me right in the face and it's something that a lot of people probably haven't seen before, the next video is going to be fairly short, and we are going to cover the Altor. It is the cheapest 9mm pistol ever made. It's also a gun that only has 6 parts in the entire gun. Only 3 of them move. So that will be the next video, and it's probably going to come out in a couple days. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.